following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Good morning. It is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 20th of February, 2019. How are you this morning? I'm Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin, and about Dublin. We have a busy programme for you today. In just a moment, we're going to be hearing from the National Lottery, from HQ, to get some details on the €175 million lottery win. Just listen to that number, 175 with 6 zeros after it. It's an awful lot of money. We'll find out about that in a couple of minutes. How soon after giving birth are women comfortable to have sex again? We'll be hearing an interesting story from a man, basically, who's concerned about this. We'll talk about that in just a while. A road safety advert on TV, which you've all seen, has caused complaints for shaming the woman who caused the crash. We'll be dealing with that a little bit later on. Have your kids ever done or said something to embarrass you in public? They all have at one stage or another. They've all done it. And we've some great stories coming up for you a little bit later on. And finally, when you tip in a restaurant, where does your tip actually go? It's something I've always wondered, especially if you're paying with a card and you might add a tip onto it. Who gets that money? Apparently, a huge percentage of restaurants don't actually pass it on to the staff at all. A new bill is being introduced in the Dáil today, which will make that illegal. So, we'll talk about that later on. All that and much more between now and midday today, live from Dublin City Centre. This is Adrian Kennedy with 98 FM's Dublin Talks. €175 million has been won by somebody or some group of people in the Euro Millions draw. We're going to be finding out a little bit more about it in just a second. But I want to hear from you on 6797981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. I want to find out how much you have won in the lottery. Be it a tenner or 200 quid. I won 200 quid once on a scratch card. Now, it was back in the 90s, but still, it's the only time I ever won anything that was worth anything in my pocket. 200 quid back in the 90s. What have you won on the lottery? Or, this is a conversation we had in our office earlier on, and I found out today that our Jeremy and Katie have never, both of them have never ever bought a lottery ticket. Ever. Are you somebody like that who has never bought a lottery ticket? And if not, why not? Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Let me know what you have won, or if you don't play, why don't you play? You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. So, as I said, the search is on to find the winner of the record-breaking €175 million jackpot. It was won in Ireland last night. I'm joined on the line by Rob McGee, who is a National Lottery spokesperson. Rob, welcome to 98 FM.
Good morning, Adrian. Thanks for having me on.
€175 million. Now, that's a mind-boggling sum of money. What do we know? Do we have any idea where this ticket was bought, or have you announced where the ticket has been bought?
Well, as of just a couple of minutes ago, we have not heard from any winners. So, look, the winner is still at large, and we're looking for this person to make contact with us as soon, whenever they are ready. But as we would like to hear sooner rather than later. Just to let you know, Adrian, and your listeners, that the winner, whoever this lucky winner is, has 90 days from the date of the draw to make contact with us. So that's 90 days from yesterday's date.
Okay, so that's about 3 months, roughly.
It is indeed. But look, yeah, the main message from myself at the National Lottery this morning to all of our Euro Millions players across the country is to check those tickets very, very carefully. And look, if it is yourself who has matched them 5 numbers and the 2 lucky stars, you can get in contact with ourselves on 01836 4444, and we can make the first steps in you coming to collect your 175 million.
175 million. When are you likely to announce where the ticket was bought? Or are you?
Oh, well, look, it will be in the next couple of days. But if, just say, for example, if there is a lotto winner, which could be, just say, 5 million, or for example, tonight it's 9.5 million, which incidentally is the largest roll in the last 12 months, we would pretty much announce it on the day. But look, with such stratospherical amount of money this is, like 175 million, it's completely mind-blowing. So, look, obviously for the winner, that'll take a lot of time for that to sink in.
So is it a conscious decision then not to announce where it was bought to stop a frenzy?
It is indeed, Adrian. And as you can imagine, the shop where, just say for example, the retailer who sold this ticket, we have an obligation. And first of all, we have certain procedures that we have to go through today, and as well as that, letting the retailer who sold this ticket know that, look, it was them who sold the ticket. And look, as you know, you could imagine 175 million. That's going to cause, I suppose, a lot of publicity and a media scrum down to that shop. So we have to prepare that lucky retailer for all eventualities as well. But look, it will be in the next couple of days, and I am confident we will announce it sooner rather than later.
Now, back in 2005, we all know Dolores McNamara won 115 million. This win is 60 million above that, so it's absolutely monstrous. What is your advice on the off chance that somebody has that winning ticket in their hand and happens to be listening to us right now? What do you advise?
Well, look, Adrian, if you're sitting there listening into this morning and you're looking at that ticket on the kitchen table with them right numbers on it, what we can advise you to do is, look, if at all possible, try and remain a bit calm. Try and take a couple of deep breaths and keep that piece of paper very, very safe. It's the most valuable piece of paper in Ireland at the moment. And look, we do advise that you sign the back of the ticket, put it in a safe place. And look, even if you don't want to make your claim in the next couple of weeks, if you want to sit in it for a while, we can advise, we will advise that this lucky winner gets some sound legal and financial advice, and just so that they can make their money do what they want to do with it, and they make sure that they know as much knowledge as possible before they come in to make their claim. So look, yeah, keep that piece of paper very, very safe.
There's all sorts of speculation being texted into us as I'm talking to you about where the winner may be from County Meath, and in fact, you've seen all that.
I've heard Donegal, I've heard towns in Dublin been on Twitter, but look, I think on social media this morning the rumours is going into overdrive. But look, all we can do is look at what's in front of us, and as of 2 minutes ago, I've checked, we haven't heard from the winner yet. So look, it's all just speculation until we hear.
Okay, finally, one of our listeners has asked me to ask you, what does the shop get, the shop that sold the winning ticket?
For a Euro Millions jackpot winner, what I think the shop gets is a bonus of, I think it's €15,000. I will check that for you, but I think it's between 15,000 and 20,000 euro for the shop. So look, yeah, it is lucrative enough for that retailer to sell the Euro Millions ticket. And look, that's it's just one of the many reasons why we do hold on and announce such a massive win. Because look, there is a significant piece of advice we have to give to the retailer as well.
All right. So if you have that ticket, sign it and get independent legal and financial advice, and contact the National Lottery.
And Adrian, just one quick thing before you go. I've got a tap on my shoulder from our claims manager, and look, whereas we are going to hold off on announcing again where this ticket was sold, I have just been told that the winner or winners, a person has been in touch.
So this is literally breaking news.
Couple of moments.
Okay,
yes,
so this is literally breaking news. The winner has made contact with the National Lottery.
Exactly. So look, if you're out there and you haven't checked your tickets yet, unfortunately it's not yourself.
Right. If you're not the person who's made contact with the National Lottery, it's not you, unfortunately.
Exactly. Yeah, but look, we have heard from the winner in the last couple of moments. That's all we're going to say at the moment, for reasons that I just said.
No, I get that. All right. But look, Rob, thanks very much indeed for filling us in on that. And a winner has contacted the National Lottery in the last few minutes to claim their 175 million. You heard it first here on 98 FM. Rob McGee, spokesperson for the National Lottery, thanks very much indeed for joining us on 98 FM.
Adrian. Thank you.
All right. Now, there you go. So, a winner has contacted the National Lottery. So, if you were thinking, I better get home quick and check my ticket, sorry. If you're not the person who contacted the National Lottery, then it's not you, I'm afraid. So there you go. No point in checking your ticket, because a winner has, we've just been told, contacted the National Lottery. And it's bizarre how rumours spread. We just got sent in an Instagram post. And it says, absolutely unbelievable folks, or unbelievable stuff, folks. What's after happening? A former boxer, now this is what's up on Instagram, a former boxer with a particular boxing club, which I won't mention, has just informed us that he was the winner of the 175 Euro Millions jackpot last night. He's also promised to build us a state-of-the-art boxing clubhouse as soon as possible. Now, again, I'm not naming the club deliberately, but I don't know how much truth there is to that. But anyway, all sorts of speculation as to where this particular winner is from, and some are saying it's in the Midlands, some are saying in Meath. People are texting in everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. Anyway, I want to talk to you about winning in the lottery, or winning, full stop. What have you won? And is it a rarity? Like I said, the most I ever won in my life was 200 quid on a scratch card back in the 90s. I won €104 on a horse once in Leopardstown, and that's basically it. Other than that, I've never had much luck at winning anything. I want to find out from you if you have won anything. Text or WhatsApp me on 0877 98 98 98. But I also want to hear from any of you who have never played the lottery, have never, ever bought a lotto ticket. And as I said, in our office earlier on, I discovered that our Jeremy and Katie have both never bought a lottery ticket, ever. Which I found unbelievable, but no, never, ever bought a lottery ticket. Are you somebody like that? And if not, why not? Why don't you? I mean, the expression, if you're not in, you can't win, is very true. Anyway, text or WhatsApp me on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Now, and as I said, you can keep speculating on who this winner is. Tala is being suggested, the Midlands, Meath, you name it, it is being suggested. But as you heard, the National Lottery are deliberately not revealing where the shop is at this moment, because they don't want a run on the shop, basically. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
No way. If it was raining soup, I'd be the one with the fork. Just my luck.
All right, let me go to Darren. You're on 98 FM. How are you, Darren?
Good morning, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thanks, Darren. You won $2,000 once.
Yeah, for a 50-cent bet in the bookies. Four
Really?
numbers. Yeah.
Oh, so this was a lottery bet?
Yeah, in the bookies, yeah.
How? Okay, I was talking a minute ago about how Jeremy and Katie have never done the lottery ever. I've never done the lottery in the bookies. How does it work?
Just win, Adrian, and just get your Irish lottery sheet. Just mark what you want to do. You want to do 4 numbers, 3 numbers, 1 number, and then whatever your stake is that you want to put on it. So
it's still based on the National Lottery numbers that are drawn?
Yeah. And you can do it with the bonus ball or without the bonus ball, which I always do it with the bonus ball, because that could be the one number that you're waiting on, you know?
Mm. And, okay, so you can pick 4 numbers, and depending on how much you put down, you win money back.
Yeah.
Because I've often heard of people winning through the bookies. I just didn't understand how it actually works.
Yeah, so basically when you go into the bookie shop, Adrian, they have lottery slips. So you just take a slip, you just mark whatever numbers you want, and then whatever your draw you want to do it in. You want to do it in the main, the plus or the plus 2. I do it in all 3, so...
And do you do it every week?
Yeah, I do it on a Wednesday and I do it on a Saturday, and then I do the Euro Millions, because believe it or not, Adrian, if you get 4 numbers in the Euro Millions, it's 43,000 to 1. So even if you stick a euro on it and your 4 numbers come out, you get 23 grand.
Ooh. Oh, right, okay. I'll make a note. I'll make a note of that. But the most you've ever won is 2 grand.
Yeah, well, I've often got like 3 numbers where I've been 330 euro for the euro. You know, but 3 numbers be very popular. Like, it's hard to get the 04, Adrian, now, you know.
Yeah, okay. Well, 33 grand you could win for 4 numbers on the Euro Millions, right? Okay, I'm going to make a note of that. Anyway, 2 grand is all you've won so far.
Yeah,
that must have been a great experience, all the same.
Oh, it was. It was great. It was great.
And had you done those same 4 numbers in the actual lottery, what would that have been worth?
You might be lucky if you get 20 quid, Adrian.
Oh, right, okay. So it's so it is better. All right, Darren, thanks very much indeed. 6797 981 is our telephone number. I want to find out what you have won, how you won it, and also are you somebody who's never ever done the lottery ever? Or is it just Jeremy and Katie? Are they the only ones that have never, ever, ever done it? Text or WhatsApp me 0877 98 98 98. And as you've just heard from the National Lottery, they have confirmed that the ticket holder of the 175 Euro Millions draw has been in contact. Okay? So you heard that first here on Dublin Talks. The National Lottery has confirmed that the winner of the 175 million Euro Millions has been in contact with the National Lottery. So if you're thinking you have to rush home and check your ticket, sorry, too late. Somebody's already been in contact. Bill, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Bill?
How you doing, lads? How's things?
Good, thanks, Bill. You have won money 3 times.
3 times in about 8 or 9, 10 years on the Euro Millions.
Really?
Yeah, 3 numbers, euro, 1,500 quid.
1,500 quid?
For 3 numbers and for €1, yeah.
And you've won that 3 times?
3 times in about 8 years, yeah.
Really? God,
yeah.
We did a syndicate lottery for years, and we never won anything like that. Never.
Oh, the bookies are so much handier. Like,
this is in the bookies.
Yeah, the bookies. Yeah, 3 numbers and penny powers. Pick 3 numbers. Just, you know, away you go. So, right, I mean, put it on. You can like put a euro on the main draw, or put it on the plus. You get what I mean. And so you put say €2 on, and the numbers put either side. You win 1,500.
Okay, so for 3 numbers, how much do you have to put down for that?
Euro 1,500 to 1 for 3 numbers, and it's 33,000 to 1 for 4 numbers.
Wow.
And my niece, I won't mention any names. Last year, put 50 cents on 4 numbers and got 16,500 euros.
Oh, right, okay.
Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah, no, in fact, a number of people have texted in. So 3 numbers in the bookies at €1 gets you 1,500 to 1, so that's 1,500 quid. And if you were to put a $5 down, you'd get 7.5 grand.
Yes, something like that. Yeah, no, I've never gone with a $5 now. Like, I do numbers myself and my sister, and that's basically what it is. So, like, if we win, we split it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's nice money, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's great return.
And on the actual game itself, you'd win nothing like that?
No, absolutely not. No. It's just about penny powers or whatever, whichever bookie you win.
Wow.
So they all have the same...
so somebody texted in to say, he's a waffler. 3 numbers in the bookies is 330 to 1, not 50.
No. 3 numbers in the paddy powers is 1,500 to 1.
1,500 to 1.
2 numbers is 300 to 1, I think.
And this
3 numbers is 1,500 to 1.
Okay, but this is the Euro Millions. This isn't the National Lottery.
No. The Euro Millions. Tuesdays and Fridays, the Euro Millions. 3 numbers, 1,500 to 1. And whoever texts that in can win paddy powers and double check that.
Right. Whoever that person is typing as we speak on WhatsApp. But yeah, he might be confusing it. So what odds would you get? He's confused now with
the Irish Lottery.
With the Irish Lottery, yeah.
I haven't done the Irish Lottery in the book, so I have no idea. The Euro Millions is 1,500 to 1.
But it's more likely if it's the National Lottery to be about something like 330 to 1.
I don't know, lads. I don't do this. I honestly can't answer that. I don't.
All right, Bill, good to talk to you.
No worries.
Thanks very much. Oh, sorry, he just texted to say, apologies, Irish Lotto. So you're not a waffler. All right, one last call on this, and that's you, Jenny. You won a fortune.
Well, I would like to say I won as much as your man before me, but still, €50 still something.
Sorry, what?
€50. I won €50 on a €2 scratch card.
50 quid?
Yeah.
A whole 50 quid?
A whole 50 quid, and then 2 other times I won €25.
That's all right, I suppose. Like I said, I still remember it because it's only happened to me once. I won 200 old Irish pounds, actually, on a scratch card back in the 90s, and I've never, ever won anything since, ever. Not even a fiver. But yeah, 50 quid on a scratch card, because people do actually win, and by law they have to have a certain amount of prizes in circulation, so people do win. I've never known anybody to win big on a scratch card. Never.
Well, I was only buying it to get cash back to give my dad rent, so that was rent for the week.
Oh, fair enough. All right, Jenny, thanks very much indeed. What are the odds? Somebody just sent me this photograph of the odds in a bookie shop for the Euro Millions, okay? So, if you match one number, it's 8 to 1. If you match 2, 100 to 1. Match 3, 1,500 to 1. Match 4, 33,000 to 1. So, in other words, you put down €1 and you match 4, you get 33 grand. And you match 5, you get 500,000 to 1. Which is all right, actually. I should have actually asked how the National Lottery feel about that. And sorry, lads, what message am I to play there? No. Okay, hang on there now for 1 second. There we go. Okay, let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
It's right, Jack. You get 1,500 for €1 in the Euro Millions, and that's just Tuesday and Friday. But with the Irish lottery number, you get 350. So the other person is getting mixed up, because I've won a few times. Okay? Bye.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Now, and thank you for all of your calls. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. On the way after the break, a conversation that is not for young ears. If you have young ears around, you might want to turn down the radio for the conversation we're having straight after the break.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala.
98 FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. If you have young ears around the radio, you might want to switch the radio off, because the conversation we're about to have is of an adult nature, and we would prefer not to have any complaints about children having heard the conversation, so you have been warned. It's a topic that we've never discussed on the programme before, yet it's a conversation that anyone who's had a child has had. The woman in the relationship gives birth. Sometimes the birth can be very difficult. Sometimes it's a walk in the park. But following the birth, for weeks after, or even months after, or in some cases years after, the last thing on a woman's mind is having sex again and being intimate. In fact, it's something that TV presenter Vogue Williams only spoke about recently, the fear of having sex after giving birth. We were contacted on this very topic by a listener called Louis, and he's in this situation and is looking for advice. His wife gave birth 4 months ago and has lost all interest in having sex or any type of intimacy. I want you to have a listen to this and answer this question. Is Louis being selfish, or have you any advice for him? Have a listen to this. Lads, 4 months ago, myself and my partner became proud parents for the first time. The birth was a standard birth, and she was in labour for 4 hours, no complications. The complication is with our intimate life now. She has no interest in sex. She hasn't touched me in 4 months, and any time I make an advance in bed, she says that she's not comfortable doing it yet. I want to be patient, but this is going on 4 months. Do you know what this is about? Does this happen often? I know giving birth is a huge ordeal, but do all women go off sex after it? When can I expect my relationship with her to get back to normal? Because before she got pregnant, we had a super sex life. Please don't give out my full name. And that's from Louis. And I'd love to hear from you on this. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. You can send a WhatsApp voice message to that same number. But the best way to get in contact with us is to call us on 6797 981 01 6797 981. Do you have any advice for Louis? How common is this? And maybe you think he needs to be more understanding of what she is going through. Either way, I'd love to know your opinions on 6797981. Ladies, how long did you wait? I know some women are pregnant again within a couple of weeks. Others go off sex completely. Louis' partner, 4 months later, has no interest. Call me right now on 6797981. As I said, you can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Laura Erskine is from Mummy Pages. She joins me on the line. Laura, welcome to 98 FM.
Thank you very much for having me.
And congratulations, you're a new mummy recently as well.
I am. I have a 4-week-old little baby girl at home with me this morning, and a 7 and a 9-year-old on midterm break. So
fantastic! You've a full house. All right. Well, congratulations on the birth of the baby. Now,
thank you.
You've heard that message from Louis. 4 months later, she's still no interest at all. Is this a big problem? Is this a common problem?
It absolutely is, and it's perfectly normal. So much, I mean, as Louis himself acknowledged, happens when you give birth. I mean, it's a very traumatic experience for most new mums. I mean, regardless of how, in inverted commas, normal the delivery is. I mean, it's a painful process. And whether you have a section or whether you have a normal delivery, there is going to be internal damage, even if you didn't actually physically tear. There's nerve damage that takes place when you push, an 8-pound baby out of your vagina. So this is something that needs to be considered. And then all that goes on afterwards. If you are breastfeeding, you will be unlikely to want to be touched in any way around your breast, because you're lactating, and any time somebody goes near them, you are likely to start expressing milk regardless of if you want to. Even if you hear another baby cry, not your own, your breasts will lactate. And
really?
So
I never knew that. I never knew that.
Yes, it's amazing actually, Mother Nature. So it's unlikely to be an erogenous zone. And if you're breastfeeding all day and you're feeding every 3 hours, which you do for the first few months of baby's life, you're going to probably feel not only exhausted, but kind of, all touched out, if you know what I mean. You've had somebody, feeding from you, and you probably don't have a whole lot to give to anybody else of yourself.
Okay, now, this man, 4 months later, now he actually, interestingly in his message, doesn't say whether she's breastfeeding or not, which I think is probably an important factor here. But after 4 months, he's starting to think, oh, right, she's just not interested anymore.
Absolutely, and that is the thing. She's got this hormonal changes that take place after giving birth, and that really affects a woman's libido. Not to mention the fact that postnatal depression can occur for women, even up to 6 months afterwards. You may not even see the signs, and that, is characterised by, a lack of joy in life, overwhelming fatigue, loss of appetite, and that needs to be considered too. And then there is, as Vogue Williams rightly came out and spoke about and brought to the public's attention, there's an absolute fear of having sex.
What is that fear based on?
I mean, your body goes through so many changes after you give birth that actually your pelvic muscles will have been stretched within an inch of their life, both from carrying the baby and then from giving birth. Then that affects how you urinate and also how you do a number 2. And I mean, there is a real fear from women that actually if they have sex, that they could possibly pee during sex or on their partner because they have a lack of control after having sex.
Okay, so
not to mention the fact that things look a little bit different down there.
Right, okay. So this is a realistic fear, and Vogue Williams described it as a fear of having sex after giving birth. And this is an understandable fear, then, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. And what this man needs to do, and any man post birth, even, some women, abstain from sex for up to a year before they actually even feel sexy again. And the best way that a man can support a woman in getting her libido back and desire to have sex is to support her in the care of the child, so giving herself more time for herself to recover, to get her mojo back, to catch up on sleep, to spend time on herself, and also then to be hands-on with baby, and then to be affectionate in a non-sexual way. And that's massage, that's making cups of tea, that's hugs and an arm around you on the couch. That's really gentle affection where you are not expecting sex at the end of it. And that is the way to I suppose, build back the trust, and to show empathy with regards to everything that your partner has gone through, and then to allow it to naturally occur again. Any sort of pressure will only lead to resistance and anxiety from your partner, and that's not conducive to getting back to normal in terms of a sexual relationship.
Okay, so don't put any pressure on her. Sit tight, and as you said, some women it can take up to a year.
It can, and I mean, if it comes to a point where the partner is feeling very sidelined, frustrated, talk about it. Talk about it in a gentle way, not in a confrontational way, and start flirting again. Make your partner feel sexy. I mean, if they're breastfeeding, or even if you tried and then it didn't work out, or if you didn't breastfeed at all, your body has gone through so many changes in terms of weight gain, in terms of what you look like down below after sex or after giving birth. I mean, there's all the after effects of hemorrhoids, of tears, and it's really about supporting the woman, making her feel sexy again, making her feel desired, but not in a pushy way, in a very gentle way, and that's the way to I suppose get her back in the mood. And the thing is, it's like, while that fear is very real for women, and I suppose I'm giving this advice to women who have given birth and haven't yet got back on the horse or back on the bicycle, so to speak. Okay. It is nerve-wracking the first time, but it's important to do it at some point.
Okay, let's have a listen to this WhatsApp message that's just come into us. Laura, stay there for a second.
Yeah. When he pushes a watermelon-sized baby out of his penis, let's see how keen he is to hop back on the horse. He's really selfish and he really needs to grow up. Relationships are more than just sex.
Oh, right. He really needs to grow up, is that message. And, 4 months later, he's getting a little bit worried. Laura, I have to ask you, you had a baby 4 weeks ago. How long will you be waiting before getting back on the horse?
Adrian Kennedy, I can't believe you're asking me that question.
We're having the conversation.
Well, I have to say, on my other two children, I decided to get back on the horse, so to speak, before my 6-week checkup, so that I was sure when I went in to meet my consultant that if I had any questions around whether something felt right or didn't feel quite right, that I could ask my doctor at the 6-week checkup. So it was probably, very shortly before the 6-week checkup. But the recommendation is by healthcare professionals to wait 4 to 6 weeks after birth, because the risk of complication after birth is highest in the first 2 weeks, and then you still have quite a lot of what's called lochial, which is the discharge that comes from after giving birth. You're bleeding and you're leaking down there for at least 4 weeks after giving birth, and so you won't want anybody down there, and you're likely still to be quite tender, so that's certainly what I have done in the past is just right before the 6-week checkup, so that I can ask any questions. But that's because I've had uncomplicated deliveries. I've been very fortunate in that regard, and for many women, that's not the case. And certainly, if you've got a wound from a C-section, you will be very careful about how you're being touched and in even what positions you can get your body in. So it'll all be about it's really important to do it when you feel ready, and then to keep the lines of communication open with your partner. Let them know how you're feeling, whether that's physically or emotionally, and talk about it, because sex is a key part to any relationship, and without that, unfortunately, you hear of marriages that go on and relationships that go on, and sex is not something that happens for years at a time, and that really is very sad, because it is the one thing that makes a friendship different to an intimate relationship.
All right. Laura Erskine from Mummy Pages, thanks very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM. I'd love to hear from you on this. Let me read Louis' message again and see what you make of this. Okay. Lads, 4 months ago, myself and my partner became proud parents for the first time. The birth was a standard birth and she was in labour for 4 hours, no complications. The complication is with our intimate life now. She has no interest in sex. She hasn't touched me, and 4 months on, anytime I make an advance in bed, she says that she's not comfortable doing it yet. I want to be patient, but this is going on 4 months. Do you know what this is about? Does this happen often? I know giving birth is a huge ordeal, but do all women go off sex after it? When can I expect my relationship with her to get back to normal? Because before she got pregnant, we had a super sex life. Please don't give out my full name. And that's from a guy called Louis. Stephen, after the break, I'm going to talk to you. You believe this guy is the most selfish man you've ever heard of?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, Adrian, but if he doesn't get his head out of his pants, she could leave him pretty quickly. It's pretty selfish, Adrian.
Okay, I'll be with you straight after the break, Stephen, and I'd love to hear from you on 679798.1. We're back in just a moment.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala.
98 FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. So Louis got in contact with us about the fact that 4 months after the birth of their first child, his partner has no interest in sex. Anytime he makes an advance in bed, she says that she's not comfortable doing it yet. I want to be patient, but this is going on 4 months, he says. Do you know what this is about? Does this happen often, he asks? I know giving birth is a huge ordeal, but do all women go off sex after it? Stephen, what do you make of Louis' message?
In a way, I can kind of forgive him a little bit for being a first-time father, Adrian. He hasn't got experience, but he needs to show support to his wife or his girlfriends, whoever she is. If he keeps doing what he's doing, he's just showing that he's being immature and selfish in her eyes.
Okay, and that's fine, and I think a lot of people would agree. 4 months isn't really a long time. How long should he be patient for?
There is no time limit on this, Adrian. When she's ready, she'll let him know. It'll be quite obvious. Now, he said that he had a great sex life for her before.
Yes.
Now, she's probably afraid that she's not going to perform the way she used to, or something's on her mind. She's clearly said that to him, listen, I'm not comfortable at the moment. So, with the greatest respect, he needs to sit down with her and talk to her. You know what I mean? Properly. And sort her out and just tell her how he's feeling, and she'll reply in a nice way to him, and that's it. And just wait, Louis. You know what I mean? Just do the mature thing and wait.
Okay, let me read a message out that just came into us, and it says, I gave birth 4 months ago and I'm exactly the same. It's more that I haven't lost the baby weight yet why I don't want to participate. It was my 4th C-section, so my last delivery was a little hard, so I wasn't really able to do much for the first 6 weeks anyhow. I feel sorry for my partner and the man that rang in. It is tough on them. Sex is very much part of having a normal, healthy relationship. It's not that I can't, I just don't want to right now. So in a way, it's actually me being selfish, she says.
She's one in a million, that girl.
Right. Okay, so he needs to be patient, basically.
Absolutely. I find it hard to see how anybody would disagree with that.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. John, you're on 98 FM. How are you, John?
How are you doing?
Good, thanks, John. What did you want to say?
I say you should have patience. Put it this way. If he was out playing football with his mates and he hurt his leg, cut his leg, he probably wouldn't play football for another few months.
No, he possibly wouldn't, no.
He's only after having a baby. Give her a few months. She might come on to him. Let him wait.
As simple as that. He's being a bit of a dickhead, is he? By even sending a message to us.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's cruel because the poor girl, as the lady said on before, they should have probably pushing out an 8-pound baby, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that easy. Let him try push it out. I don't think it worked that easy, would it?
All right, so be patient and remember you wouldn't be playing football for a few weeks if you hurt your leg.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely not.
All right, no, fair point. Let me have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Morning, lads. I think in this circumstances, he's just been very, very, immature. I think he has to realise that he's a father now, that the child's needs come first. Everything else will work out in the end, but I think he needs to get himself sorted out. Sex at the moment is a no-goer. Like, we've all been through it with our wives, our girlfriends have had children, and I think he just needs to calm himself on a little bit. Thanks, boys.
All right, thanks very much indeed for your message. Now, let me read out this message. Every birth is different. Some women 3 weeks, some women a year. I've had 4 and every time has been different, but never longer than 6 weeks. Maybe she should talk to a professional about it. You see, it wasn't her that got in contact with us. And listening to what a lot of our callers are saying, he's being very selfish. So should he be saying to her, go and talk to a professional about the fact that you don't want to have sex with me? Another message says, tell the guy to have some respect for his partner and wait till she is ready. He can, okay. Lauren, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Lauren?
Hey, morning.
Morning, Lauren. How are you? What did you want to say on this?
I think everybody has to understand everybody's different. From my own experience, I know when I had I think especially for first-time parents, when I expected to come out of the hospital in my size 8 jeans and I expected my body to go back to the way it was, and it wasn't. And I know that I was really, found that very, very hard and very difficult to accept that my body wasn't the way it was before, and I was very, very self-conscious about that. So I think that is a big, big issue. Your body is completely changed, and especially in the first few months, it takes a long time for your body to get back to normal. And if you're not feeling confident and comfortable in your own skin, along with your hormones and everything else, it can take a long time to get back to that feeling like of feeling sexy and feeling wanting to be intimate with your partner, and wanting them to look at you the same way they looked at you before, and that can be in your a lot in your head, and how you feel.
Okay, and that's something that is quite difficult even to articulate, isn't it?
It really is, and I think after you've had 1 or 2 kids, and you kind of know what to expect, but everything is so new for a first-time parent, and you're experiencing stuff you didn't realise you were going to experience, and it can just take a long, long time for you to be comfortable in your own skin again and to feel the want and to do that again.
All right, so he, in fact, somebody texted in just a second ago to say, I'm loving the men on this so far, they're so understanding, implying that this guy isn't being understanding.
Yeah, I think he just needs to give her a chance, and I suppose with men, their feelings haven't changed, and they can't understand what the woman is going through, so, I can understand him being a little bit like that, but yeah, he kind of just needs to give her a chance. She will come back to herself and she will get back into the saddle, but it just might take a bit of time. You just have to give her a chance and let her do it in her own time, and don't pressure her, because if he pressures her, he's going to learn the hard way.
Okay, completely backfire on him, and he could be waiting for years. Yeah. Wait till you have a listen to this message, Lauren. It says, I had 6 children and had sex 2 nights after coming home. Women are too soft nowadays, says Liz.
Okay.
Okay, Liz. 2 days. God, you're a workhorse. John, you're on, no wonder you had 6 kids. John, you're on 98 FM. Jason, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Jason?
Hey, Adrian.
What did you want to say on this?
Yeah, he is being selfish, actually. But, if he's young, he's probably just, that way inclined, wants to have it all the time, stuff like that. But he's probably, before, say when she gave birth at 9 months, probably for the 4 months before she gave birth, they probably weren't having sex either.
No, I've no doubt. Yes, actually, now that you mention it, yeah, for the weeks in the run up to the birth, they probably weren't doing it, and so then add the 4 months afterwards, and it's probably been 8 months or 10 months or whatever. Yeah.
So he's just kind of a bit impatient, but he needs to just give her a bit of time.
Well, let me read this message out, and it says, for God's sake, stop being so hard on the chap. He's only asking for some advice. It's his first child also, and he is as much in the dark as his partner is. Cut him some slack. And that's a fair point. He's never been there. He's never done that. And yeah, he doesn't know what to expect. And you're right in saying that. He was just looking for advice. Thanks, Jason. Let me read this message out. Please remember, a new baby is a lot of work, and she could be just tired, and he might not be doing enough. And don't forget, she could have postnatal depression. And in fact, Christine, that's your message I'm just after reading out. And the point being, a new baby is a lot of work.
A lot of work, yes. She could be tired. She could have postnatal depression. There's so many things. It's not just about sex or not loving him. You know, been there, done that. Each baby is different. They'll get there in the end. Hello?
Yeah, no, I'm listening to you. Okay, so he just needs to be a little bit more patient.
He might be going to work and leaving her to do everything. I'm not saying he is, but it could happen. Maybe at the weekends, she still has the responsibility of the baby, where he could maybe say, why don't you sleep in? There's lots and lots of things. I'm not taking anybody's side here. It's complicated. It's not as easy as people make out. He mightn't be being selfish. She could be afraid. Lots of things. And
it sounds like, it does sound like she may well be. You could be right, Christine. Let me read a couple more of your messages. Myself and my partner go through dry spells from time to time. It does frustrate me, and after a couple of weeks, I tend to go elsewhere. And then in brackets, escorts. It is not cheating in my eyes. It is as if I am building a relationship, and it stops all the fighting and pressure in our relationship. Of course, she doesn't know this. I would have thought not. And let me there was one more message I wanted to read out, which is just a bit further down the page. A lot of people saying tell him to have some respect for his partner. Oh yeah, here's the message I wanted to read out. When my wife had our first, the labour was 36 hours and then 43 hours on our second. I don't know how she did it. If this chap is only thinking of jumping straight back into the sack, his head is in a completely different place than his wife's. She only a new mother, and basically lay off is what a lot of people are saying. Okay, 4 months, too soon to be even asking the question. I had my first baby in 1994, and in the hospital walked into one of the patient's bathrooms, and there was a woman and her partner together. And apparently that happens more than you'd actually think. I love the way the society we live in today have turned Dublin males into feminists. What man doesn't always think of sex? And one last message. I don't think he's being selfish. It would be different if it was 4 weeks and he's giving out about it, but it's not. It's 4 months. End of story. He needs to speak to her. And my fiancé and I had a child 10 months ago. We had a very good sex life, and now none. I put her under no pressure because for the last 19 months she has given her body to our baby. When she is ready, she is ready. Mind you, it might just be to give our child a brother or a sister. And sorry, let me just read this final text from Jason. Something to finish off the topic, Adrian. Childbirth is not as painful as a man getting kicked in the privates. Sometime after giving birth, a woman may decide to have another baby. However, you'll never hear a man say, I think I'll have another kick in the privates. Says Jason. All right, thanks very much indeed. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Back in a sec. 98. Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98 FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And Tricia's here with Wednesday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. All charges against Patrick Hutch have been dropped. The 26-year-old from Champions Avenue in Dublin was accused of murdering David Byrne at the Regency Hotel in 2016. Mr. Hutch's trial was adjourned last year after the lead investigator died by suicide. Today, the non-jury court was told that the prosecution was no longer in a position to proceed. Ireland's biggest ever lotto winner of €175 million has made contact with the National Lottery, but the location of where the ticket was sold is still being kept under wraps. The lucky person has won more overnight than U2 or Ed Sheeran made last year. Cervical Check campaigner Vicky Phelan says she'll be pulling back from campaigning to focus on her health and family. The Limerick woman has been very ill for the past few weeks, but says a scan shows her cancer has not spread. And there's fears that a new plan for the Metro link would see the Lewis Green line close for up to 4 years. The Irish Independent reports that the Transport Minister has advised the NTA in recent days against that particular proposal. And now you're up to date on 98.
Thanks, Trish. Just back to the lottery for a second. Lots of speculation around Duleek in County Meath.
Oh, yeah.
Facebook page, Duleek and District News just posted a while ago. Wonderful news this morning for a family of 7, all brothers and sisters from around this district. Congratulations. Enjoy this moment. It's not every day you wake up to 175 million.
No, it really is.
Yeah. We've also heard reports of television crews setting up in Duleek. So
wow.
Let's
Good
look
luck.
at Duleek.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Trish. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. I'm Adrian Kennedy. And by the way, if you're in Duleek, let us know if there's any frenetic activity going on in the village. You can call us on 679798-1. Now, next on the programme, there is an advert on TV at the moment. It's been on for a while, actually. It's quite a hard-hitting ad by the Road Safety Authority as part of their Crashed Lives series. It shows a man from Cork called Noel Clancy speaking about the impact that a crash in which his wife Geraldine and his daughter Louise died. The ad also aims to highlight the dangers of letting learner drivers drive unaccompanied. During the ad, in fact, let me play the audio of this ad. Now, I have tightened it up a little bit because during the ad there's lots of what we call pregnant pauses of just nothingness so that it'll seep in. It's a very powerful ad. Have a listen to the audio from it, and this will remind you of what ad we're talking about.
I was used to a busy family home, full of life and laughter. A London driver swung into the car, flipping them over. They were trapped upside down, screaming for their lives as they drowned in the water. They were blue and purple. I did not recognise them. The undertaker asked me which coffin would we lower first. I told him we would lower Geraldine first and place Louise back in her arms. I will never see my wife and daughter again.
And then at the very end of the ad, these words appear on the screen. Unaccompanied learner drivers can lead to unaccompanied lives. Give your car to an unaccompanied learner driver, face prosecution, and your car being seized. So that's the ad. You would be familiar with it if you watched any television over the last couple of weeks. The Road Safety Authority say they have received a number of complaints about the ad. Many people are annoyed that it is publicly shaming the young woman who was responsible for the crash, which led to the 2 deaths. Here's the background to what was a tragic incident, obviously. The 2 women were in a car which was hit by a vehicle being driven by a lady called Susan Gleeson. And she was an unaccompanied learner driver. And this was back in December of 2016. The Clancy's car was sent through a gap in a wall by the impact and ended up on its roof in a flooded drain where they both drowned. Gleeson later pleaded guilty to dangerous driving, causing the deaths of the women, and received a 3-year suspended jail sentence as well as a 15-year driving ban. Now, many people feel that by showing this ad, it is continuing to shame this young woman and her family and remind them of the crash that she was guilty of causing. Road safety campaigner Leo Leggio has spoken out about the controversy. He says, "My blood is boiling regarding the people complaining about the Clancy ad. Are these people for real? Putting their inconveniences ahead of saving lives?" I'd love to hear from you on this, on 679798-1. Are people right to be annoyed that this young woman isn't named in the advert, but all you have to do is Google it and you'll find her name, because it did go to court and she did plead guilty to dangerous driving causing the deaths, and she did receive a 3-year suspended jail sentence as well as a 15-year driving ban. Some people believe that the young woman should be allowed to get on with her life, essentially. Leo Leggio joins me on the line now. Leo, welcome to 98 FM.
Hi, Adrian.
You're annoyed over people's reaction to this.
I am. I can understand people being by the ad upsetting people, by the graphic nature of it, but by complaining about it, saying it's personalised, like you said, the girl's name was never mentioned in the ad.
I know, but a simple Google search will find it.
Yeah, but I've met Noel Tracy a number of times, and I actually didn't know the name of the girl. I didn't even know it was a girl that caused the accident, that caused the collision. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is, people need to understand who actually is the victim in this.
Well, obviously, the victims are the
Noel Clancy and his family.
Yes,
and by people complaining like this, they're talking about the pressure on this young girl, Miss Gleeson. But what about the pressure they're putting on Noel Clancy and his family? He did what he thought was a good idea to try and save people's lives, to prevent this from happening to another family like his. And people are complaining over an ad that's hard-hitting and designed to save lives.
I think one of the things that people are upset about is that, the young woman responsible for the crash isn't named, but as I said, a simple Google search will find out the answer, will find it for you. And it did appear in court, she did appear in court, so her name was publicly released. But the argument is, from a lot of people, that drink driving, we understand shaming somebody for drink driving causing an accident. Right. But shaming somebody for being an unaccompanied learner driver, at a time, by the way, when the law wasn't being fully enforced, is a bit much.
But the law was there. It was
there, all right, but it wasn't fully enforced. It wasn't fully enforced at that time.
No, it wasn't fully enforced, but the fact of the matter is, if she hadn't been on the road, if she had been obeying the law, the crash wouldn't have happened.
Well, we don't know that. If she had been accompanied by somebody, that the crash wouldn't have happened.
It would have been less of a chance of it happening. But about the shaming of the girl, if that had happened to me, right, and if I was the culprit here, I actually would have been seeking to get on the ad as well.
But the point is, Leo, that yes, drink driving. People agree with shaming people for drink driving, particularly if they're involved in a fatal accident. But I think what I've heard from a lot of people is there are worse things on the road than driving unaccompanied.
Are there?
Well, that's what people are saying, and I think people say that because we all did it.
People will always come up with excuses. Like when it's a drink driving, it's the condition of the roads, it's the weather conditions, the potholes. They always have a different excuse. These are all factors. There's a lot of factors that cause road deaths. But when you try and you have to try and cut them out. You can't cut them out all together. You have to start somewhere. Do you know what I mean? 12 people are killed every year by unaccompanied drivers. Now, that's only talking about the people that are killed. What about those people that are seriously injured? And you don't hear, nobody hears about them. It's only the road deaths you hear about. But
you see, here's how I see it, Leo. I think for many, many years, it has been illegal for unaccompanied learner drivers to drive without somebody in the car for years. But it wasn't enforced, and I think that kind of got into our psyche that it's worth the risk. I know my own young fella 6-7 years ago when he was learning to drive, even though it was illegal, he did drive on his own unaccompanied on his learner's permit, and I think it's in our psyche that it's okay until recently. But my point being, when it comes to this young woman, the law wasn't being properly enforced at that time, and is it not shameful that she's being shamed in this way?
I don't think she's been shamed at all. I think it depends on the way people are looking at it. The ad is designed to try and save lives. It's not designed.
But the ad does say, the ad does clearly say, and in fact it's Noel's words that say it, that his wife and daughter were killed by an unaccompanied learner driver.
Yes,
and that is that young lady.
Yeah, but that's like it's like he's not naming anybody. It's like saying my daughter was killed by a drunk driver. That'd be in the papers as well. Mm-hmm. But I'm not naming that drug. Am I shaming him?
Well, I suppose you can Google it and find out. All
these things to go. The ad is put there. It's not designed to shame anybody. It's designed there. It's out there to put out there to try and save lives. And if this girl and her family are suffering, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that there as well. But I'm also sorry for Noel Clancy and his family. He's suffering. And him and his daughter are suffering now for the rest of their lives, and will suffer for the rest of their lives. And
you yourself, well, in fact, just to be personal, you yourself, Leo, lost your daughter in an accident. Was that person ever caught or ever named and shamed?
Yeah, she was caught and she was named in the papers all over the place, and I still talk about her. My daughter, what happened to her, but I don't name the girl. I never did name the girl, but people knew who she was. I believe she's since passed away from a drug overdose, but these things, like, it's 14 years since Marcia was killed, but it still hurts me. I'm still suffering every day. Nobody's out there writing in the papers, I'm feeling sorry for Leo Ligio. It's always the ones that cause these accidents and all are getting all the sympathy. The real victims are always forgotten. Like as I said before, and as I've said on Facebook, that their family are really sick. Why don't they just come out and support the ad? And then they won't be named and shamed. They'll be showing that they'll be showing their real sorrow, and they'll be trying to save someone's life.
Okay, so for people,
come on the television and say, look, I hold my hands up. I was guilty. I shouldn't have done what I've done. Please don't do it again. Like I said, I'm talking every week. I talk now and again for the Axel Road Show at transition year students, trying to push the road safety message across. The guards are doing it, the fire department are doing it. And then you have TDs and other people coming out and saying the complete opposite. It's okay to have one or two drinks. It's unfair on young people not being allowed to drive unaccompanied. It's conflicting messages they're getting. How are the young kids, how are they supposed to know what's right and wrong?
And look, I agree with all of that, Leo. But and drink driving, we all know is not right. It's socially unacceptable now for people to drink and drive, even though people continue to do it. But I think what has bothered people about this particular advert is that it is something that we have all done at one stage or another, driving on a learner's permit unaccompanied, and this young woman happens to have been involved in a fatal crash, and that will shame her for life. And this ad just adds to it.
She'll feel the shame herself for what she's done.
Yes, but absolutely.
And she will always have that guilt.
But does she need to be reminded of her guilt every time she switches on the telly?
There's no Tracy not reminded, and his daughter not reminded every day whenever he's seen it. Do you think he wants that ad on television? Do you think he wants that ad to see that ad when he goes to the cinema? He doesn't want to see that either. That's going to bring it all back to him as well. He's suffering every time he sees that. But he did it so other people wouldn't have to go through what he's going through.
All right, stay there for 1 second, Leo. I'd love to hear from you on this. On 6797 981, you can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. I'd love to hear from you on this, about whether or not you think the ad is disproportionate, or maybe you think it's totally appropriate. Sinead, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Sinead?
Hi, not too bad.
Now, Sinead, what did you want to say on this?
I know, I see that they're shaming learner drivers. I just don't understand how that accident could have been prevented from a full licensed driver just sitting beside her.
And I did say that to Leo, that we've no way of knowing, had there been a fully qualified driver in the passenger seat, that accident wouldn't have happened. We don't know that. We obviously
don't understand how that wouldn't have happened, because, like, how is she going to say that accident from happening, you know? Like, I'm a learner permit. Mm-hmm. The past 7 years I'm driving with a learner permit, and not once have I been in an accident. So I'm very cautious on the road, and there could be full licensed drivers there that are only driving 3 years. So how does that make them more qualified?
But sorry, so you are driving on a learner's permit unaccompanied?
Well, some days I'm accompanied, some days I'm not accompanied.
Okay. So this ad is aimed directly at you?
Yeah.
Does it work? Does it stop you?
No, because I don't believe that I'm like the one that causes the accidents on the road, you know, just because I'm a learner permit. Like, I've seen a lot of...
So why haven't you got your full licence?
I just never put in for it, to be honest.
You've never put in for it?
No, well, I put in once and I failed on it, just an observation. But that doesn't make me a bad driver, you know. I'm driving 7 years on the road. never been an accident or never caused.
And that's grand, Sinead, but the fact is you failed your driving test. You're not a fully qualified driver, basically.
Yeah, I'm not fully qualified, but I don't believe that I'm a bad driver because I'm a learner driver.
Nobody believes they're a bad driver. Nobody will ever admit to being a bad driver.
Yeah, it's just that the ad is being aimed at learner drivers. I just don't think that's fair because there is full licensed drivers out there that are like absolute hills on the road, and they've caused a lot of accidents too. So it's not only learner drivers.
Leo, what do you say to that? Here's a lady who is on a learner's permit for 7 years but continues to drive unaccompanied.
Yeah. The first thing about the crash, the young girl was she wasn't speeding. She was found out to be taking a bend at the wrong speed. If a qualified driver was in the car with her, he could have said, "Look, you're going too fast. Slow down." As for this girl who's...
But again, Leo, that is absolute speculation, really.
Yeah, and the speculation is saying that it could happen to someone else. How many people have travelled down that road and haven't killed anybody? Now, as for yourself, the learner driver, like you said, she's not qualified to drive. She's unlicensed. She's breaking the law.
Yeah, I might be breaking the law, but I know the rules of the road, and I know when to slow down. So
okay, yeah. So
she should have known herself.
How many drunk drivers out there? How many people that have been killed by other people that have said, "I'm a good driver. I know what I'm doing."
But Leo, like I said, people, I think, don't grade this offence, and it is an offence. It is illegal to drive unaccompanied on a learner's permit, but they don't grade that offence in as serious a way as they would grade drink driving or drug driving.
That's why this law has been brought in to drive this matter home. Like I said, 12 people every year are killed by unaccompanied drivers. And as you said yourself, everybody thinks they're a great driver until it happens to them. There's always the first time, and it will happen. It will happen someday.
Okay, let's have a listen to what the judge had to say in Susan Gleason's case. The judge said inexperience, inattention, and dangerously driving on the incorrect side of the road caused the accident. But there was an absence of aggravating factors such as speed, alcohol, or use of phone. So he's basically saying that inexperience, inattention, and dangerously driving on the incorrect side of the road caused the accident. And I think your point, Leo, would be that if somebody had been in the car with her, they would have said, "You're on the wrong side of the road there."
Yeah, exactly. Or slow down. Like she wasn't. The judge said she wasn't speeding, but she was going too fast for the bend that she was coming across, and she ended up on the wrong side of the road. Like, if there's an experienced driver, I know if my kids are in the road, I've often told, "Look, you're driving too close to that car in front."
What do you say to somebody like Sinead and the many Sineads listening to us who are on a learner's permit and continue to drive their car unaccompanied?
Look, Sinead, I know you said you've been driving for 7 years and you've never had an accident. When I started driving, my instructor said to me, first thing he said to me when I got into the car, regard every other driver on the road as a fucking idiot. I never expected to get that phone call about Marcia being killed, and I got it. These things can happen. Get out there and get your driving license. If you're so confident about your driving, go out and apply for your driving license and reduce the waiting list.
Sinead, what do you say to that? And this is from a man who lost his own daughter in a car crash.
Yeah, I understand that. It's just with the ad being based on learner drivers. Like I've seen full licensed drivers that have been driving in the middle of the road in two lanes, and that can cause accidents. You know, everybody. There's all different reasons for people being killed on the roads by qualified drivers, unaccompanied drivers, drunk drivers, people without drink. But you have to start somewhere. Do you have children, Sinead? Do you have children yourself, Sinead? I do. I have two kids.
If one of your, God forbid, if something happened to one of your kids by a person who was a young driver unaccompanied, would you feel the same way, knowing that person should not have been on the, by the law, that person should not have been on the road? Would you feel the same way then?
I would. I don't believe it should be just aimed at learner drivers because
Sinead, there are different adverts aimed at drink driving, drug driving. This is just one aimed at one aspect of the law.
Have you seen the ad for young Kieran Tracy, the 4-year-old who was killed by a drunk driver?
I'm not sure if I've seen that.
You likely have, where they interview doctors and they interview the nurse in the hospital. And it's a very, very powerful ad.
That's a very powerful ad as well. And like, if you Google that there, I'm sure you come up with the culprit's name there as well.
But again, Leo, I think this is where we have the problem here, that people don't have an issue with a drink driver being shamed. Especially if they cause death, but they do seem to have a problem with a learner driving unaccompanied being shamed in that way.
Well, I suppose it is a shame in a way, but it has to be done. It's out there. People are doing it, and people just have to learn. Like, people just are listening. There's 21 people killed already this year. We have to start getting tough.
Okay, but just to clarify, those 21 deaths so far this year isn't necessarily anything to do with unaccompanied drivers.
No, but multiple reasons. But we have to try and crack down on everything: speed, drink, drugs, the whole fucking lot. But we have to take it one step at a time. I'd love to wave a magic wand and just start everything, the roads and everything. Like, we even had one TV in the dial stand up and say it was the trees that are causing deaths in rural Ireland. The fact of the matter is that most of the accidents are happening to young drivers and young men. I know there's learner drivers out there 20 and 30 years of age or older.
All right, Leo, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM. And Sinead, I'm going to come back to you in a second because somebody wants to talk to you. Will you hang on there for 1 second?
Yeah, no
Thanks
problem.
very much indeed. And we have a statement from the Road Safety Authority as well, straight after the break. Don't go away.
98 FM. Dublin Talks. With Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala.
98 FM.
I was used to a busy family home, full of life and laughter. A London driver swung into the car, flipping them over. They were trapped upside down, screaming for their lives as they drowned in the water. They were blue and purple. I did not recognise them. The undertaker asked me which coffin will we lower first. I told him we would lower Geraldine first and place Louise back in her arms. I will never see my wife and daughter again.
Now, that is the powerful advert from the Road Safety Authority, which ends with the words on screen: unaccompanied learners can lead to unaccompanied lives. Give your car to an unaccompanied learner, face prosecution and your car being seized. We've received a statement from the Road Safety Authority, and here's part of what they say. It's important to state that we are very conscious of the need to be aware of the impact of the tragic incident on the immediate families, the community, and all whose lives are touched by incidents on our roads. In developing the ad, we took steps to ensure that all concerned were aware of the campaign prior to transmission, and for that reason we engaged with both families involved prior to and subsequent to the start of the campaign. The content of the campaign was signed off with no objections to the airing of the ad by both parties prior to transmission. The Clancy family want all users of the road to be aware of the impact, the harsh reality of the life after the event, and campaign in the hope their message will ensure others do not have to suffer as they do. That's part of the statement from the Road Safety Authority. Let me just have a listen to a couple of WhatsApp messages here. Here's one.
Hi lads, giving somebody that's not qualified the keys of a car is like giving them a loaded gun. They're going to kill, and this happened in this case. And that young girl who's on talking about driving, if she crashes or somebody crashes into her, her insurance is null and void. Get off the road and don't be a threat to people. Do you want to live with killing people for the rest of your life like this other girl has to? Rules of the road are there to save lives.
Okay, that actually sounds like an advert for the Road Safety Authority. Excuse me. And then I've another WhatsApp voice message that I want to play for you, and it's this one.
Hi,
Maria.
Adrian. Just listen to the lady on the phone there now, and she really annoys me. She reminds me of when I was just qualified as a new learner or as a new driver. back in 2011. I had just got my second car and I thought I was really observant on the road, full licensed driver, no problems at all. And one day, the cockiness just got the better of me and I accidentally ran over a cyclist. And from that day, I was sick. I was disgusted with what I had done. And ever since then, I've eyes all over the road and looking everywhere because I was just overly confident and I was a full licensed driver. I can't imagine what it is like for learner drivers. I think they need to be stopped somehow, and I think that ad is really effective. It's very, very sad what that man had to go through. Thanks, Adrian.
All right, thank you. Sinead, both of those messages were aimed directly at you.
I understand that people are going to be annoyed that I'm a learner driver driving on the road. But again, I just understand how accidents can be prevented.
Okay, stay there for a second. Let me go to Lydia. You're on 98 FM, Lydia. How are you?
How you doing, Adrian? How are you?
Good, thank you. What did you want to say on this?
I'm absolutely, after hearing that girl, Sinead, she's after making me physically sick.
Ooh.
She really has. The likes of her now, if I knew her address, I'd report her and have her taken off the road. She said she failed her driving test on an observation. Well, a learner driver who wasn't observant nearly killed the father of my kids on the road.
Tell me what happened.
Pregnant. He was on his way home and he was driving up towards Newlands Cross, and this learner driver, unaccompanied, out he came from Height and Steel, and basically my partner was coming. He was coming on his bike. He didn't have time. This guy pulled out. My partner hit his car. He went over his car into the next lane of traffic, jumped up and got hit by a Volkswagen Touareg.
Wow.
The whole thing was witnessed by Gardaí and a nurse who was on her way to work in Tala Hospital. So blame wasn't questioned at all. At all. The guy was done for it. He was completely to blame. And his biggest concern at the time was he was going to get into trouble off his mother and his insurance. That was his big issue.
Okay, but Sinead, let me just go back to you for a second, and I'm not going to keep you on the line to be lashed out of it, okay?
Yeah.
But you said a couple of minutes ago you've never had an accident and everything else, and
No.
you're not a bad driver. Like I said, everybody believes they're a good driver. You won't get somebody on the phone to say, Harry, I drive every day and I'm a bad driver. People don't admit that. The only way to actually prove that you're an okay driver is to pass your driving test. So
yeah, but there's a lot of people going for the driving test and they're doing everything right and they're passing, and then once they have that license in their hands, they're doing what they want on the road.
I absolutely agree with you. However, without a license, you've no way of proving that you've met any standard at all. Have you applied for another license, or have you applied for your test?
I haven't, but I have intentions of applying for it.
Well, maybe this conversation today might make you do it today.
Yeah, I will apply for me full license. Like, I'm not going to live off a provisional for the rest of my life, obviously, you know. But like I said, like they do their own thing as soon as they have that license in their hand. So it doesn't make.
And Lydia, the point I was making to Sinead earlier on is that I know she's not the only one. Tens of thousands are continuing to drive on a learner's permit unaccompanied.
Yeah, and they should all receive the full strength of the law. They're all in the wrong. But, you have to take it one driver at a time. She's heard this conversation on the radio today. She has a driving permit. She's not to be in her car. So, as far as I'm concerned, if after today, if right now that girl gets into her car and drives off, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. You are not fit to drive unless you have somebody in the car with you. And people that are saying that accident could have been prevented, I can't talk about that accident. I wasn't there.
No,
but
of course, none of us were.
I can talk about the accident that my partner was involved in. And without a doubt, if he'd had the correct driver in the car with him, that accident wouldn't happen. And the guards actually said that, because he got out of the car and he said, I just didn't see him. But if you know yourself, if you're travelling in a car with somebody, we all do it. We're all passengers in cars, and we say, oh yeah, go on, you can let yourself out. We've all done it. If he'd had somebody with him, they would have said, whoa, hang on.
Yeah,
you know,
all right.
There's a guy coming here.
Sinead, before I let you go, I want to play this WhatsApp voice message for you. Hang on.
Hi Adrian, I'm just messaging in about that girl Sinead. I am just absolutely furious listening to that. There is absolutely zero excuse for you to only have done your full driving test once in 7 years. Like, that's just plain laziness. You fail, you do it again. Like, I assume she's paying thousands on her insurance. Why not go and do it again? We all have to do it. I'm so annoyed. Thanks, Adrian.
Sinead, can I just have one commitment that you'll apply for your test today?
I will, yeah.
Okay, right, that's all I can ask. Thanks very much for talking to us. And like I said, I don't want to single that lady out because I think it's unfair. And the reason I think it's unfair is that there are thousands of people driving on learners' permits unaccompanied right now as we speak. She's not the only one. Okay, so it's for that reason that I'm not keeping her on the programme to be completely ripped apart, because there are an awful lot of others who don't have the balls that Sinead had to actually admit it. Anthony, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Anthony?
Hi, Adrian. How you doing?
What did you want to say on this?
Well, first of all, I'd like to reiterate what everybody was saying about learner drivers driving without applying for their licences, like that girl Sinead. It's complete and utter laziness. But they don't realise then that insurance payouts, the insurance companies will just tell them to go away. They're not insured if they have an accident. They're uninsured without a full licensed driver sitting in the car next to them.
Is that actually correct? Because I know for many years it wasn't.
It's written into your policy. When you call for an insurance company to get a quote, they ask you, have you a full licence, have you a learner permit? And you have to give them the number of the licence. And the number, they can check it on the database straight away to see if it's accurate, to see what the licence is. And if it's a learner permit, they'll know about it. It's on the insurance documentation. And if you don't have a learner permit and you have an accident, they will not cover you. Which means then that any victims won't get payouts from the insurance companies.
Okay, so if you are driving unaccompanied, you're not insured, they won't pay out, so please sort yourself out. And
it's complete and utter laziness, and it's not acceptable. And I think that to go 7 years without resitting your driving test, I think that's the fault of the legal system as well. I think that the Road Safety Authority should be present for that. You should have learner permits.
And this is this is the point I think people are honing in on when it comes to that particular advert, because for years, even though it was illegal to drive without a fully qualified driver, it wasn't enforced, and we all know it wasn't enforced.
It wasn't enforced, Adrian, and I've been on the show several times, and you probably remember that I served several years in the guards, and I know from experience it wasn't enforced. And it wasn't enforced because people were giving out about the guards enforcing it, so guards just stopped enforcing it. And now people are giving out, well, the guards are doing people. They should have been doing people for it, and they weren't. So I can tell you from experience that guards are thinking, well, damned if you do, damned if you don't. They're giving out constantly about what to do.
But yes, so I think that's where people have. Maybe it's sympathy for the girl who caused that crash, because they think to themselves, well, sure, I did it.
I do have some sympathy for her, and I don't think the advertisement was shaming her, because it didn't name her. I know what you said earlier on.
You just Googled the incident, yes. Yeah.
But that's a step away from shaming the person. It's shaming all people that are driving without full driver's licences.
Well, stay there for 1 second, because
about experience.
Amanda, you think this ad is also totally necessary?
I do, yeah. I really do feel it's very necessary, because I think that everyone has made a statement constantly on the show. We all did it. We all drove on provisional licence. That's the reason why they have made this ad, to highlight to people that these accidents are happening and they can be preventable. Obviously, no one knows with 100% accuracy if this accident would have happened if that girl had been with someone or not.
No.
But the point of the matter is, the laws are made for a reason. And at the end of the day, like the fact that everyone is so, sure, it's fine, you know, to drive on a learner permit. Sure, it's fine to drive with only a glass of wine. Sure, it's fine not to pay, you know, my mortgage. Sure, everyone is saying, it's fine because it's about them. But at the end of the day, the laws are made in the country for a reason. And as that chap Leo was saying, like, they have to start somewhere. And at the end of the day, there's more and more accidents happening on the road. Like, you can't open up Facebook or the paper or
without
the
seeing something. Yes.
of something. Like, if you think about that horrific accident last month where that poor girl died on.
Indeed, yeah.
There's accidents happening all the time. And in fairness, the Guardian...
But I would argue, Amanda, that accidents will always happen by the mere nature of the fact that they're accidents. They weren't planned.
Accidents will always happen, Adrian. But the point is, accidents can also be prevented.
Okay, and let me read out this message. Lads, if we hired more testers, there would be less L drivers on the roads. The girl is completely wrong driving so long, but how is it that the guards can now do a person for driving unaccompanied, but can't be arsed to take scramblers off kids flying around the streets? That's what has people annoyed, says that message. That's a fair point, actually. One last call, very quickly. Rod, what did you want to say?
Hi, Adrian, how are you?
Good, thank you, Rod. What did you want to say?
Adrian, what is wrong with all them ages? Weren't they all learner drivers at some time?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course they were. And how is a full licensed driver going to stop a learner driver from being in an accident if you're doing 50 miles an hour down the road and some idiot comes round the corner on the wrong side? What's the full licensed driver going to do from the passenger side?
Okay, but if I look at this particular accident that's mentioned in that advert, have a listen. The judge said inexperience, inattention, and dangerously driving on the incorrect side of the road caused the accident. Now, if that person had have had somebody, a qualified driver in the car, they would have said, whoa, you're on the wrong side of the road.
I know a guy that was killed in an accident, and it was a full licensed driver that done it because he lost his marbles coming around the turn and wanted to do away with himself and didn't care who he was killing. A learner's permit is the country's way of getting money out of people. That's all it is.
All right, Rod, thank you very much indeed. And just one or two more messages. An ex-friend of mine drove her car with no provisional licence, never mind a full licence. She did this drunk at times and left her kids unattended at home. Don't know what she's doing now, but nothing like the girl who got lashed out of it, says that message. In other words, she's much worse than that lady, Sinead. Why give people learner permits then? Maybe the price of lessons and the full test needs to be subsidised, says that message. And yeah, okay, a huge reaction to that. I'd love to keep the conversation going, but we don't have time, I'm afraid. You're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy till midday today. After the break, we've some very cringy stories of how our kids embarrass us in public. Have your kids ever embarrassed you in public? Call me right now on 6797981. And by the way, we're just being told that the winning national or Euro Millions €175 million ticket was sold in Riley's Daybreak in the Knoll in North County Dublin, and we understand that the family are from Duleek in County Meath, but the winning ticket was sold in Riley's Daybreak in the Knoll. All right, back in a second.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala.
98 FM.
And with thanks to Des Kelly Interiors in my hand here, I have a €50 Des Kelly Interiors gift card to give away right now. And you could win it. All I want you to do is share with us embarrassing things that your kids have done in public. Things your kids have done in public to embarrass you, basically. So, Jeremy, I want to set the scene. Jeremy's here with me. Yeah. And in fact, I want to bring you to a Dublin restaurant on a Sunday afternoon. And Jeremy is there with little Dixon.
It was Joel's, actually. Or
Joel's on the Nace Road.
On the Nace Road, one of my favourite eateries. And we'd had a lovely meal. And for those of you One of the reasons I go to Joel's is because it serves jelly and ice cream. And
lovely, yeah.
You can't beat it now, jelly and ice cream. And the meal was over, and the waitress came over to my son. My son's 4, but like most, if you have kids who are 3 or 4 or 5 years of age, kids have no filter. They will say whatever is on their mind.
Absolutely.
Okay? So, packed restaurant in Joel's, and the girl comes over and takes away the main course plates, and she says, "Are any of you going to have dessert?" And she turns around to me, young fella, and she says to him, "Would you like some," you know the way when you're talking to kids, "would you like some jelly and ice cream, little boy?" And my young fella Luke, at the top of his voice, in front of the packed restaurant, says, "No, my daddy says jelly is for scum." And the waitress went, "Sorry, my daddy, who's sitting beside me here, he says jelly is for scum. Only scum eat jelly."
How embarrassing.
Now,
Did you ever say that?
Yes, of course I've said it. I've said it in private, though, joking. I don't think jelly is for scum. I eat jelly myself. But the waitress she didn't know where to look. And I just said, "It's just a kind of a joke thing that I have." And she walked away. And I haven't been back to Joelle since, I have to say.
I have a story from when my young fella was a little boy, about the same age, about 3 or 4, yeah?
Yes.
And we're down Bray Seafront on a beautiful sunny afternoon. And walking up off the beach was a lady in her swimsuit.
In Bray? A swimsuit in Bray?
Yeah. She was in swimming. It was that nice a day.
Okay.
And she walked up off the beach. And let's say she was well endowed. And at the top of his voice, my young fella shouted and pointed at the woman, "Daddy, daddy, daddy, look at the size of the boobies on her."
And what age was he, 20?
About 3 or 4.
Okay, he was only 3 or 4. Yeah. That's okay.
At the top of his voice, he shouted, "Daddy, daddy, look at the boobies on her."
Oh, man.
I just ran. I ran. I picked him up and I ran.
For the woman with the boobies, or ran away from her?
I just ran away. Anyway, we'd love to hear from you on 6797 I want to hear your stories of what your children have done to embarrass you in public. And if you're a caller, you could win yourself a €50 Des Kelly Interiors gift card right now. So get on the phone really quick because we don't have too long. Let's go to Lisa. You're on 98 FM. Hi, Lisa.
Hiya, how are you?
Lisa, what has your child done to embarrass you?
We were in a restaurant one day and he was about 4 and he shouted across the table to me, "Mom, I can't say it. I want a fork."
Right.
But he said it that sounded like the F word.
Oh, right. So, Mama, I want a... I want a...
yeah.
Right, because he couldn't pronounce the word properly.
He couldn't pronounce the word fork. So he shouted the F word across the table at me.
That's brilliant.
And did he keep on saying it?
Well, until I eventually found out what he was actually talking about.
It wasn't in Joelle's restaurant.
It wasn't, no.
Oh, that's okay. People have been posting, Adrian, on Board Panda, the website Board Panda, about this, and this, Lisa, is quite similar to another story that a mother posted, and she said she went to see Shrek the musical last year,
right.
And in the scene in Shrek the musical, when Puss in Boots comes out onto the stage, her 3-year-old son stood up on the seat in front of a packed theatre and said, "Look, Pussy is on the stage."
Oh, out of the mouth of babes, as they say.
That's exactly right. All right, fair play, Lisa. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers for that.
6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. But you've only a chance of winning the Des Kelly Interiors voucher if you happen to be a caller on the air. Okay? So let me read this message. My cousin was 3 and in the shop, and a Muslim woman was there and had her face covered, and he shouts, "Why does she have that on? Is it because she's really ugly?" Oh.
Yeah, but kids don't mean it in a bad way, do they?
I know, but still, that's awful, isn't it? Keep your messages coming in to us. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. We want to hear things that your children have done to embarrass you. Karen, that's your message I just read out, was it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So go on, tell me the whole story.
Well, it was my sister had my cousin in the shop, and there was a Muslim woman there, and she was just completely covered, and he could just see her eyes, and like she was standing right beside him, and he was like, "Why does she have that on? Is it because she's very ugly?"
Oh, isn't that awful? And did the woman react at all?
No, I don't think so. I don't think she's very impressed.
I can imagine that is. Sorry, there you go. Yeah,
it's something that all kids. My young fella has made comment on it as well, because obviously when they see people, when a woman dressed in a hijab or a burqa or whatever, they don't know what to think. So I think you need to explain to kids at a very young age that this is the way some
and it's normal for some women to dress like that.
I mean, I remember my young fella, when he first saw a woman, Karen, dressed in a burqa, he turned around to me and he said, "Is that looks like the girl that was in the Lego Ninjago movie? You know, the ninjas."
Oh right.
Yeah.
Now he said it to me quietly, and I'm like, "Geez, if he had said that out loud." Now he didn't mean anything bad by it, because she was dressed like he thought she was a ninja. But I think once you explain to kids, they won't make that mistake again.
Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
I was just picking up my son to school one day, and we're standing at the bus stop, and I was drinking a can of Red Bull, and my son asked me, and he was 5 at the time, he asked me, "Daddy, can I have some of that drink?" And I said, "No, son, you're too young to drink that, it's only for adults, so you can drink it when you're older." And he asked me, "Could I drink it when I'm your age, Daddy?" "Yeah, that'd be fine, I'll give you some then." So I said, "But Daddy, when I'm your age, you're going to be dead." The lads beside me just started cracking up. They couldn't get over it. It was so funny.
That is brilliant. And I have another WhatsApp voice message to play for you. Have a listen to this one.
When my little boy was about 2.5, we were in the Tesco, the wine aisle in Tesco, and he shouted at the top of his voice, "Mommy, your medicine!"
Brilliant. And finally, Sean, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Sean.
Hey guys, how you keeping?
Tell me what your son did.
We were in a restaurant a few years ago, and sitting down having a meal, and there was a colour couple across from us, and he turned down, "Mommy, Daddy, why is that kid covered in poo?" And the nearly went through the floor.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What age was your son when this happened?
4.
Oh. And I mean, there's no badness meant in that, is there?
I know that, yeah, but like, in the full restaurant full of people going,
"Oh, that's awful. Oh, that is awful." I assume it never happened again.
Oh, no, never.
Indeed. All right, good to talk to you, Sean. Thanks very much indeed. And in fact, Sean, to make up for your son embarrassing you like that, have a €50 Des Kelly Interiors voucher.
Cheers.
There you go. Done deal. All right, thanks very much indeed.
Now, there's a message there at the top from Mick and Finglas that I don't think we can read out, but it's all about Mick going to Boots to buy sanitary products for his missus, and he had his 4-year-old with him, and he went up to the till discreetly, and as he's at the till, his child shouts out at the top of his voice, "They're nappies for Mammy." Never bring your kid to buy sanitary products, ever.
All right, on that note, that's it. Thanks for your calls. And we'll have another €50 voucher from Des Kelly Interiors to give away tomorrow. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10. Barry Dunn is next. In the next hour, some great music lined up like these.
Just say you feel the way that I feel. I'm feeling sexual. With your class if you are wrong in all the right ways. 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New store now open at Belgard Road, Tala. 98 FM.